Hi, I'm Cara from Enchanted Vines, and today I wanted to show you how to make a simple tree topper. So we're going to be using 2.5-inch wired ribbon, our easy bow maker, some chenille stems that match our ribbon, and a zip tie, okay, along with our scissors and wire cutter. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we want to make some nice long tails. People love those trailing tails down their Christmas tree. So I am going to, I'm just going to kind of eyeball this, but it's maybe around like 2.5, 3 feet. And I'm going to take this and right at the halfway point, I'm going to slip it right in between the dowels, okay? And then make it so that the front side of the ribbon is facing outward, okay? Now we're going to start with our next tail. So we're going to make this tail the same length, okay? So I'm just going to carry that down. And now we're going to take our ribbon, we're going to slide it through the dowel, okay? And on this side, I'm going to twist it so that, again, the top part or the front part of the ribbon is showing. And then on this side, I'm going to give it a nice crisp twist, okay, so that the front of the ribbon is now facing downward, okay? So whenever we're on the first part of a loop, we're going to be looking at the back side of the ribbon. And then once the loop's complete, we're then going to see the front of the ribbon, just like we would want people to see on our tree topper. Okay, so I'm going to measure this out at 6 inches. And this is what's great about the Easy Bow Maker is everything is just kind of there. You don't need a ruler. You don't need any, this is helping your hands if you have arthritis to hold your loops in place. So I'm going to measure 6 inches. And then I'm going to put it back through the dowels. Okay, let's see. I like to kind of flatten my first one just to make sure that it is really at the 6-inch mark. Okay, so we have our first loop. Now as it goes through the dowel, again, we're going to do a really crisp twist, okay? Measure 6 inches and slide it back through our dowels. Okay, again, we're going to repeat to that nice crisp twist. And the reason why I keep saying that is because for years I was trying to figure out how to use my Easy Bow Maker. And the thing I wasn't doing right was I wasn't, really twisting it tightly. And so what happened was like the middle was like really kind of like all jumbled up and the loops weren't like all separated like they're supposed to be. All right, so measure 6 inches again. And once you've done one side, really, you're just overlapping it because you've already done the measuring. So I'm just going to copy the size of the loops that are already in place, okay? So we've now done 4 of our 6-inch loops. We're going to do 6 in total. So it's always important to use like good quality ribbon because it's going to hold its shape. Same thing with the wiring. Not all wired ribbon is created equal, but this is from Craft Outlet and it's really like nicely structured material. So this is going to make a great tree topper that people can use for years. Okay. And okay, so again, I'm doing another 6 inches and these can also go on your mantle. They could go on a mailbox, a swag. There's a lot of different uses. I just think tree toppers are really popular. I mean, we see so many of these like over the top trees on social media, and it's like if you can help somebody get there with just one of your bows, they're gonna really appreciate it. All right, now we're gonna go to start measuring for 5 inches. Okay, so I'm doing a nice crisp twist right on my Easy Bow Maker. I see my 5-inch mark. Okay, so I'm gonna start with my first 5-inch loop. Okay. Then we're going to go to the other side and measure 5 inches and slide it back through the dowel. All right, so we're going to repeat this and do another 6 of these 5-inch loops. We're gonna have 6 in total. Okay, so sliding it through. I love buffalo check. I feel like it's just such a classic Christmas. It just gives you like kind of like that nostalgic feeling. And I just don't think it's ever going to go out of style. I think there are some things that are trends and then there are just traditional classics. And this definitely falls into the traditional classics category. Okay, so I want a lot of tails on this, so what I'm going to do is, now that I've done 6 of the 5-inch loops, I'm going to make a tail. Okay, so I'm going to just use the existing tail to measure this out. I'm going to cut it there. And then we start again. So we're always starting on this side of our easy bow maker, working our way to the left. So I know it's opposite watching a video, but it's from right to left. So I'm going to take, this tail's not going to be as long, but it's still, so this one's probably like 2 feet. Okay, so I'm going to put this in so that the tail, the pretty side is facing up. And then I'm going to have this twisted so that, again, I'm looking at the back of the ribbon. And I'm going to start making 3 4-inch loops. I'll find my 4-inch mark on my easy bow maker. And I love this thing. I bought a deluxe one and it just, you know, I feel like this is, it's basic, but in a good way. It's just, it doesn't overcomplicate things. You know, it really has everything you need. The one thing I did like about the higher end one was that it had a dowel that actually held the ribbon, because as you can see, like, it's kind of moving around. Sometimes your ribbon gets all twisted up. So I like that. But you can also buy like a paper towel holder, or somebody in our group has something called a ribbon wrangler, which kind of, it holds, if you're using multiple ribbons, it holds them in place. So there are other options, because that other bow maker, the deluxe, I think it was like $65. So I ended up just selling it on Facebook Marketplace. It was just kind of sitting here collecting dust. All right, so I am making 6 of our 4-inch loops. And if you're looking for, you know, like large quantities of ribbon, I will say also, like, Craft Outlet is fantastic with the 50-yard rolls. Usually they're between, I mean, I'm just guesstimating from what I've bought for winter, but most of them are between like $14 to $25-ish. So you can get a lot of ribbon for an inexpensive price. And if you're like me, you go a little ribbon crazy. So it's nice to have some affordable options that are still really good quality. All right, now the last one is called the button. It's kind of going to be that center of our bow. So I'm not going to measure this. It's going to be about 3 inches. Okay. And so I'm going to take that. I'm going to slide it back through our dowels. And so this is where the other tail is going to fall. It's okay that it's not, that there, you know, there's 2 on this side and 4 tails on this side. It's not going to take away or detract from your design. All right, now while it's still on the Easy Bow Maker, I feel like this is the best time to start spreading out your loops, okay? Because once you secure them, we're gonna use a zip tie to secure them. We obviously lose some of like that mobility with them. Right now, we can manipulate them in an easier fashion, I think. So I'm just spreading these out, just side to side. So this is a 19 loop bow. And if you're somebody who's listing on Etsy, you definitely want to include the loops, the length of the tails, and then the width of the bow, which is going to be about 12 inches. Sometimes it's a little bit more based on just how like fluffed up it is. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, and this is always like the moment of truth, is we are going to slide this off the dowel with our pointer finger and our thumb. And then we're gonna be using a zip tie to slip in place, you know, kind of, you'll see where the dent is from where this was in between the dowels. So we know that's the halfway point. Okay, so I'm gonna take a deep breath. Honestly, it never happens. I'm just always worried it's gonna happen. Okay, so I've got my thumb on there tightly. I'm gonna slide a thin brown zip tie. It's great if you have like the exact color, but this isn't gonna show. White would stick out more, so I would go with a darker zip tie when you're working with darker colors. And then we are going to zip tie this as tight as we can. Okay, so tight, tight, tight. Before I go and fluff up the bows, we are going to just polish the tails. So, you know, there's two ways of doing it. One is to, you know, cut things at a diagonal angle, which is pretty and polished, but I love to dovetail. So when you're dovetailing, you're folding your ribbon in half. And then, so I have my open edges facing this way. And without losing a finger, I'm gonna cut up at an angle. And then it cuts out this little triangle. So if you do it and you don't see this triangle and instead you see something like this, you know, pointing down, it just means you did it backwards. So just do it again. All right, so we're gonna go and do this to all 6 of our tails. Again, my open edges are facing this way. I'm gonna cut up at an angle. And there we go. And we wanna kind of keep it at the same angle, just so everything is more uniform. It would never be a video, or a true video, if there wasn't a dog barking or disturbing me in some way. So Bruno, my shepherd, is in a tizzy about something. There must be somebody here. All right, so this is our last tail. Cutting up at an angle. Okay, so now we have all of our tails. They're all finished. And we're gonna go through and we're gonna fluff. And I'm also gonna show you how to ship this, because I think it's a great way to prep it for shipping. Instead of fluffing and then going back, I mean, I guess I could show you just to show you. So I'm gonna snip off the tail to the zip tie. And then I'm gonna take 2 chenille stems. I'm gonna tie these together. These are 12-inch. There are places that you can get longer ones, so maybe you wouldn't have to do this step. But I'm gonna slide this right over the zip tie, so right in the center of our bow. And I'm just gonna twist it on the back. And this way our customer knows how to attach it to like the top of their tree or their mailbox or however they're using it. Okay, so it's blending in. All right, and now we are going to start fluffing up our bows. So I'm gonna start in the back. And all we're doing when we're fluffing is we're just putting our hands inside the loops and just kind of spreading that out. So I have 4 dogs, so like they're all popping off at this point. All right. And actually we have 5 right now because I'm watching my mom's dog. So she's really the one stirring the pot right now. I'm gonna blame it on her. Okay. One side fluffed. I'm gonna do the other side. And this is why it's great to have wired ribbon, because it flattens out and then you can just, you know, fluff it right up so that year after year you can use it and have it still look like new. Okay, so here is our tree topper. She's looking nice and full. Do a like perfect little cherry on top for somebody who's maybe doing like a rustic look, traditional look, something like that for their tree. Okay, and now I'm gonna show you how I ship it. So what I do is I take tissue paper, and I actually prefer that it doesn't match, because sometimes people don't always know to take the tissue paper out when I ship bows. So I have it on a care card, but I have definitely had people tag me on things on social media and I'm like, take the tissue paper out. So it's kind of better to have something that's gonna like be glaring. So what I'm gonna do is for every loop, for all 19 loops, I'm gonna take a piece of tissue paper And I'm going to stuff that loop. And so as you know, if you're somebody who sells and ships, shipping is just so expensive. So even though this bow is about 12 inches wide, we're gonna ship it in a box that's 8 by 8, and that's gonna be okay because we've taken the time to keep all of our loops like in place. We wouldn't want to do that without the tissue paper, because then what's going to happen is our customer's going to open the box, it's going to be something crushed, and they're going to say, this is nothing like what I ordered, which, I mean, we've all had that happen, and it's so disappointing when you're waiting for something and you're excited and then it's not what you had in mind. Stuffing. And it's also good because then our clients can see how to maybe put this back when they're done with it for the season so that they can continue to use it year after year. I mean, when we make products that are lasting, it definitely does not mean that we're like, if you make a wreath that lasts for 4 years, it doesn't mean that you're going to lose a client. It means that you're going to have a client that trusts you, they trust your work, and they're going to recommend you. So, and you know, you can have more than one wreath a season. There's no limit to how many wreaths you can have. There's so many different ways to use them. So we always want to make sure we're very, very thorough with our items before we ship them out. This must have that, what is it, ASMR, whatever that quality is, like when you hear things and it's just like kind of soothing. Even though it's crinkling, it's still got like that soothing sound. It's a satisfying sound. All right, just a few more loops to go. And I always think this looks so cute when it's done. It reminds me of, you know, like a woman with all the hair curlers in. All right, so we have, there's one missing. Go through, make sure they're all stuffed. Stuffed nice and tight, so if one needs 2 pieces, definitely do it. Okay, and then for the tails, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to overlap them as much as possible, okay? And then I'm going to start rolling these together, okay, because I don't want these to get all bent when they're in the shipping box. So I'm gonna roll it together. And then for this, I again like to use like a bright color just so it draws attention to it. So I'm just gonna slide the chenille stem through, twist it in the front. And that way our customer knows to undo it. Okay, so this box is 8 cubed. And you can see, we're gonna just tuck this right in there. And it is snug. We always wanna ship things snug anyways, because then they're not shifting and they don't get damaged. So, yep, I'm gonna end up putting some like pretty winter tissue paper on here, a care card, and then send this off to somebody with a rustic themed Christmas. All right, she is ready to go. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, please like, subscribe, and share. I greatly appreciate it. Bye, guys.